All right. We in that thing. Did I get on here a couple minutes earlier? Yes. But it's okay. We are in that thing, in that thing. By in that thing, I mean we are ready to discuss The Street by Ann Petry today. Let's be real, y'all. We got 1 hour because I'm hungry. I still got to study. I can't believe that I was able to whiz through this book, the first book I've read in a very long time, if I'm being honest about myself. Y'all, I'm ready. Let's get up in that thing. We'll wait a couple minutes, like a couple minutes, until people start getting in here. And then we can just go ahead and get up in that thing. Let me see if I can. Hey, y'all. Didn't get a chance to read through the book. Just wanted to stop by and say hi. Hey, I'm Ray. So let me say hi to people. Jenna already knew. Hello, Regina Renee. I was just texting you. Hey, Cole, we were just talking about this. Hello, Reads Whatever. I like it. Or wherever. Why did I say whatever? Well, cognitive slips. It happens. Okay, and I already read Emma Ray's. Since we are bound by this hour, and I'm just saying an hour because I really should, my stomach hurt, the nerves is real, and I really got to get back to studying. I really need that drink. I really needed that drink. Regina Renee is not telling no lies. Colton just yelled from the side room. Hi, Bree. Hi. Yeah, it's like 1 minute, 6:01, and I'm like, let's talk about the book. So I'm like, let me chill, right? Let's be easy. I will say this, while we wait on people to come, let's first start about the name. The name of the books. Thoughts, metaphors. I was just getting like real metacognitive about the name of the book. The name of the book, it's such a perfect title. Let's start there. We'll start there and wait on people to come in. So while you guys are saying whatever you're saying in the chat, I'll just start off just a brief synopsis about the book, non-spoilers. So The Street by Ann Petry is a book that follows a main character. I think her name is Ludi. I was listening to it, so I didn't get to see how it was spelled on the text. But Ludi has been through it. It's pretty much following her whole life and other people who she so happened to meet. Ludi is married to this man. Things happened. Circumstance changed. And she has a young boy. He's about 8 years old, I think, once you get through the book, but it goes through most of his life. And she's really just going through it. Like, adversity is being thrown her way. People are really preying on her and really obsessed with how she looks. Like, the author made it a point to constantly talk about how she looks and how her figure has been perceived by so many different people. So that is as non-spoiler as I can get it. It definitely gave me thriller vibe. Y'all, if I didn't stand Ann Petry before, what's happening over here? What's this? Hold on, I gotta figure out what's if I didn't stand Ann Petry before, this is a stan account. This is how do you y'all, it was just so good. Okay. Too deep. I was like, wow, this woman, brilliant, brilliant. You know that one when Lady Gaga is describing someone and she's like, brilliant, outstanding, wonderful, talented, everlasting. Like, that's how I felt reading. I was like, oh my God. And then a lot of times when there's just like extra outside information about the characters, I'm like, do we really need that? Just, brevity is what I want to say to some authors, but it was needed. Like the way Ann Petry wrote this novel, fantastic. I would give it 10 stars if I could, honestly. Also, I didn't know that an author can have the voice be in like narration, but also be from different point of views in such a seamless and beautiful manner. I don't know what it would be called, like for us who are more versed in the literature realm than I am, but it was fantastic. And I need books to be written like that more often. I hope that more of her novels is written like that. So yeah, we're just talking about the streets. Like, what do you think? Like the title meant, with some parallels to the text that you got from the streets. I like on one part, not the author, the lawyer was like, yeah, he'll just be for the streets, and she was thinking her streets, and he was like, any streets, any impoverished area, any area that's seen as the ghetto. And I was like, exactly, it's not just her street, it's so many different streets around the world in the US. I think this is from a US because it's like in Brooklyn or in Jamaica, Queens or something like that is the setting. Um, there's just so many different communities that have areas that parallel to the streets and people just preying on young women, especially young, attractive Black women. Y'all, it took me out. It's like a story of life grinding you down and down and down. Amen. But I was actually thinking that maybe the guy who lived with not the guy, the woman who lived with the super, the woman who had like feet issues and she was just staying with him and she went to see a conjurer or medicine man about Ludi because she wasn't liking Ludi and wanted to keep the super to herself. I thought there was moments where she was going to be an ally, and I'm blinking because no, that was not in her character or her character development at all. So that was real sad. What did y'all think about? Oop, sorry, I got a lot of plants and the bugs are trying to come. What did y'all think about the guy who owned everything? The white man. Nope, not at all. Colby agreed. It was a good mix of the micro and macro, both her specific situation and broader issues. Ludi was both herself and this comment right here, it sums up the book. And that's it, guys. The live, I'm going to go ahead and end it. That just summed it up. Such a beautiful manner. He seemed in the background, didn't get much from him, honestly. Yeah, he just, to me, symbolized white supremacy. Just like the whole thing. Just like someone pulling strings and you don't really know if they're there. Like, it's just a system that we know is there, but don't see it. But sometimes we see it. And even when we see it, we ask ourselves, is we actually seeing it? We're constantly questioning if we're really getting played, like if we're really getting stalked by this system, right? So there were parts in the book where Ludi was like, I would feel him looking, but then I would look back and he's not there. And I was like, exactly. That is how I feel about white supremacy. Like, are you there or you're not there? I'm not like saying, are you there or you're not there? As in, I don't think there's any validity to white supremacy. Yes, I do. And that, when I say validity, I mean, I do think it's real. So, but there are times where I just be like, is this really happening? It's kind of like, this is unbelievable, but it's believable. So you're like constantly having like this mental warfare. And even Ludi was like, I am not sure if I'm trusting people or not trusting people, or I don't know if I should take them at face value or not. I felt that complexity that that character was feeling, and I was just like, same, same. I hope I made any sense on what I just said. I hated how Junto thought he could just exactly, like, oh, she's for me. And I hated how the old woman who ran the house of sex workers was just like his puppet. I hate that she was also a part of the system and using it in ways that benefited her in such a toxic manner. Like, it just kept giving me like pimp vibes, human trafficking vibes. And I just, even when she saved her from the super almost sexually assaulting her, well, he did sexually assault her, but like taking it further, I was like, you still don't get a cookie, sis. Like, you're still trying to, recruit her. That's not okay. Like, let this lady live her life. Y'all, I was just frustrated in a lot of parts in this book, for sure. There was a lot of frustration, but also beautifully written. What are some other thoughts y'all had while reading this book? The puppets, his character was unseen like a puppet master who dangled string puppets behind a curtain. Exactly. You saw him through the people he paid off emotionally and financially. Exactly. And no one really sees the puppet master. And in my mind, I was like, that's it just made me think so much about white supremacy, because people go back and forth on, is it there, is it not there, and people who know that it's there kind of feel like they're being bamboozled by the people who are saying it's not there. So it's, I don't know, I couldn't stop thinking about those parallels, and it just was like, I was like, wow, hold on. I kept thinking to myself, like, when was this published? So let me see. Petry, the street. When was it? 1946. And to be so in sync with today's world, my gosh. I felt bad for Bud. Me too. He had no chance. I love the sections that were from his perspectives. Yeah. I mean, he just wanted to help his mom. Like, his mom constantly was worried about money. And every time she said things about money, I kept thinking about my childhood. Like, my mom would be like, you got the lights on, like you paying the bills. Like, I know even to this day, my roommate always comes in and cut on a light. Like, the fact that I got this light on is really rare because I also have windows open. But if I didn't have this light on, you wouldn't be able to see me. So for me, I remember being told, like, we got to stretch this money, or, don't cut on this light, don't waste this, don't run the water when you're brushing your teeth. Like, all that stuff add up. So I definitely understood where he come from, because I started doing locks. I would do people locks and hair and lawn mow. I would do anything. I was doing a lot of just odd end jobs since I was like 10. So I definitely understood that want to help, because you're constantly being told that you don't have money or money is tight. So he literally was just doing the best he can, and the super was just like, listen, if I can't have you, I'm going to go through your son. And soon as that part was introduced in the book, my heart just started to break. I was like, man, he's going to really mess up this sweet child. I had so much hope when rebuffed the super at first, but then when he changed his mind to take the scheme, um, my heart broke. Yeah, when he first was like, "No, I'm not doing it," and I was like, "Oh, okay, bud, don't do it." But then when he did it, I was like, huh. I thought the super was a predator right away. I put it in the Discord. Like, I thought he was a predator right away. Specifically because he kept talking about her body. Not her as a human being who is living and have feelings and have thoughts and have autonomy and is allowed to, want things consensually and say no. No, he only talked about her body. And I was like, oh, he is a predator. He's a predator for sure. I feel like I'm talking a lot. There's also like no one else on this live with me as far as like a person to talk to. So it kind of feels like I'm just like blah, blah, blah. But it needed to be said. You know what I mean? I'm just so happy that we started off the Black Classic Community Buddy Read with this book. Like, am I late to the chat? Oh. Let's talk about Ludi's husband. I felt like at that moment I would have loved to be Ludi's friend, even though she didn't have no friend. She didn't have time for that. I really wish that I was just a friend in the book where I can just give dude these hands. Like the fact that Ludi was sending $75 to him to take care of him and the husband. I mean, him and the child. For him to have a whole woman in the house, moved in, and for dad to send a letter just nonchalantly, in a nonchalant manner. I just really felt like the husband could have got these hands. I just gotta be honest about it. Like, the betrayal, the deception, the rudeness, the gall, the audacity. I was just like, then for him to say, what did he say? Some like slick manner of you can just sit around and like not want somebody to hold. So now it's her fault why you can't keep your appendage in your pants. I felt like there was moments at the end of the book where I was like, what about the husband? Does the husband get this energy as well? Okay. I'm going to go to the comments because I just was like very upset. Even how he just wanted Ludi to go up the stairs first in the beginning. Yeah. Yeah. And then the super was like, "Oh, if I try to bring her down the stairs again, she would have calmed down. She would have understood." Then I start thinking this is mental health issues. Like she she would have understood that you were going to sexually assault her? How does one understand that? What? This was such a great choice. Great first choice, and I love the classics. Me too. Me too. I'm so happy to get into them. Exactly. He would have died mysteriously in his sleep. Amen. I think it was a pride thing. He didn't like Ludi bringing home the money. It's toxic masculinity for me. It's like, dude, you were really chilling. You took your little, $1,000 from your mom. She left you a house, and you were just really hanging out. You were really chilling. You were hanging out. What was the other option? Like, yeah, they lost the kid job, But I also think that was a blessing in disguise. Like even Ludi said, like we were doing it. She didn't feel right because they were doing it primarily for themselves, and their financial situation versus the actual well-being of those kids. So what else was Ludi to do? Regina Renee is really out here speaking her truth, and we're all just like, at this point, I don't, it's just so dumb. Like, I just cannot believe it. It's just crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And I'm also wondering, like, there was a part in the book where, what was his name? Lotus? Was that the guy who we called the puppet master? Lotus, wasn't he in love with the lady, the pimp lady? He just really wanted his cake and ice cream, and he wanted to eat it too. It just was disrespectful. I really want angel cake right now. Dang it. Why would I say that? Ugh. Angel cake would just be chef kiss right now. Junto. What did I call him? Asshole? Is that what I called him? I said what I said. The thing is, you can't benefit from her money and resent that she is the one providing. It's like, look, sir, if you're mad that she's getting coin, why don't you get off your ass and get some coin? But no, it's the woman's fault. Because you up here with your fragility and we got to coddle you because you sad and you upset. So you go out and get another woman while Ludi is just in this white lady's house and dealing with all this trauma and missing her kid. What is angel cake? It's just soft and fluffy cake. It's usually white. It's good. I say Google it. It is so good. I just want a little slice, which usually turns into like 3 or 4, but that's my business. That's my business. Oh, Sad Life. It's so good. It's like eating a sugar cloud. It is. You guys are very good at your descriptions. Meanwhile, I'm over here falling apart. I'm over here like, what? How do you describe anything in this book? I am not a sweet kind of person. I like real food. How dare you, Regina Renee? I'm just kidding. I get it. I get it. I am my father's child. If we can eat a whole cake in one setting, it might just happen. I'm gonna just have to be honest about that. I love cake. Cake is like the thing I would eat the most of, like at any given time. You see me looking away because I'm repositioning my plants. I don't know what's going on with this one plant. I'm gonna have to Google it later. Maybe I gotta give it more love or attention. Not sure what's happening. Any other thoughts about these characters, y'all? Or the author's writing? We can get into that too. I thought my questions that I had was gonna last a full hour, but it's different when it's just you speaking. So I was like, oh, okay, well, can we also talk about Bub's racist? It was so unpleasant being in her head. So unpleasant. But I kept thinking to myself, but are we surprised? Was there any surprises there? The struggle. It's a real life struggle. It's just, I just kept being, and you would think reading a book like this would make you just want to stop reading it and do something else. But no, I just like needed to know. I just constantly needed to know the next point of view or the next part. Like I constantly wanted to know, especially when it got to the cross on the bed for the super and he couldn't even go in the room. And I was like, well, that is some that's some powerful magic. Some powerful magic. And the fact that she like put it across her body and he was like, did I see that? Did I not see that? It's like, no, sir, you saw it. She had some powerful magic going. True, but wow at how well the book was written that I truly felt like I was in her head. I truly felt like I was in all of their heads. Being in the super head was like the most disgusting. And then being in I forget what's his name? The guy who, oh man, I'm sucking with names. The guy who asked her to be a part of the band, who was just like, baby, 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 baby. He just gave me real snake in the grass vibes. It just was slime. And then every time I was in her son's head, I just was like, especially when he was afraid of the dark. That really hurt. That hurt. Boots. There we go. Bethany, do you have the physical copy or just like fantastic memory? Because I'm over here like the guy. But we all know, I've been talking about this since the inception of my channel. I can't remember names. It's going to be that dude, that guy, that person, that child, that tree. I just suck with names. An author who truly knows her characters and brought them to life on the page. Exactly. And I kept thinking now, like, some authors who are like big nowadays could never. I'm not going to say who they are, but some authors who are big nowadays could never write like this. This was like, I am still beyond shocked. Still beyond shocked. It was so good. Here you go. Wikipedia, you know, sometimes it give what it's supposed to give. You know? I should at least bought like some candies to this live, but then I've just been smacking and just chewing all around. It gave me memoir / thriller vibes, even though it wasn't that format. That's what I said in the beginning. It wasn't that format exactly. The mix of intimacy and foreshadowing was masterful. Amen. For sure. Yep, a masterclass for sure. The ultimate mentor text. Exactly. The writing was smooth like butter that's just been sitting on your countertop and ready to be spread on a nice toasted bread or bagel or muffin. Hell, just eat the butter at this point. You know? Woo! It was good. Okay, I have to go back to work. Don't forget to tell us the next classic. Yes, the next classic we're reading is A Raisin in the Sun, I think. Hold on, let me pull it up for you really quick. In May, we're reading A Raisin in the Sun by Lorraine Hansberry. I'm going to try to do that live also close to the end of the month, but I'll let y'all know. I'll put something out by next week. So, is there anything else we want to discuss? Because this could be like a 30-minute vibe. I mean, a 30-minute live vibe. That is a play. Yes. I don't think I've, like, Colby and I were talking in the Discord that we don't typically read plays or things with, like, theater-esque vibes. I think mainly is because I don't like plays in real life. I've got to be honest with it. A musical, y'all, will just kill me. Like, when High School Music came out, I was like, will never Can't do it. The twist ending, your thoughts? I was not ready for her to fully abandon her child. There, I said it. I wasn't ready for that. I didn't think she did so much for him. She sacrificed so much for him. Maybe that's the ultimate sacrifice. Now that I think about it, maybe she was thinking he's already going to have a hard life. Having a mother who's a murderer is not going to help that. Maybe that was something. But the way that she protected herself, I just feel like it was one of those moments where you had to do what you had to do. And earlier we were talking about one of the characters, I think it was Boots, who beat a woman to almost she died. And it was the author was talking about how there's a thin line between life and death. And, you know, the parameters around that. So as we kept getting into that scene of her just hitting him with the candle or whatever, like heavy object she had, I just kept thinking she's gonna kill him. She's gonna kill him. And the fact that it happened, whew, honestly, I couldn't see it ending any other way. Yes, I thought maybe she was gonna take the man's money out of his pocket, contact the lawyer, get her son out, and then they like peace out to the countryside. But I know she was so influenced by that first family and their relationship with money that in the way that they treated her, she would, like she said, she didn't want that for her child. So I think it was for her, it was the best thing she could do for him. But also the fact that she left him, that part I didn't like see. I don't know. Maybe I wanted another option. She had taken so much of Bruce, it would have made anyone snap. Anyone. And it's just like constantly reading each part of the book, each character, every character preyed on her. Just preyed on her. Didn't even know her really. Haven't had a conversation with her. Just preyed on her because of how she looked. And then I kept thinking, because she was tall, had long legs. And I also am tall and have long legs. And I just kept thinking about like me growing up and me coming into puberty, people I just felt like no one was trying to get to know me. People would just be like, okay, hips, legs, ass. And like, it's just constantly men and women, just everybody just commenting on my body. And I just kept being like, man, I didn't even have autonomy at that point. Just people just saw me as a sexual being versus a human being with thoughts and feelings, etc. So, yeah. I don't know if she thought it was the best thing for him, but that she no longer has faith in herself as a mother. She lost her identity as a wife, then a singer, and finally a mom. Yep. Yeah. And it's just like, what do you do? And I kept thinking about like adversity, right? She experienced a lot of adversity. And as a therapist, I kept thinking of like, how would I help someone move through this so that they can live their best life and adapt coping skills? And it's like, how do you provide therapy for someone like this? Granted, um I've had clients where I've been confused on not confused, but like really trying to figure out the right source of treatment, and I think I would have been able to do that with her. But it's just like, when there's so much adversity like this, you can't help to just be like, damn, life really dealt you one. And a lot of times I kept thinking like most of her circumstances had nothing to do with her, like wasn't her fault, if not all. So it's like, how do you come back on top? Or how do you find life worth living in the sense of you just, have this plan to get this money and get off the streets. Like, how do you go back to that plan of your life and how you want it to live when people around you is just preying on your downfall? Hello, sorry I'm late. So technically at work, but wanted to say hey and don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you so much. Yeah, so y'all, I just kept thinking just so much stuff of, and when she said, I will always be in this room, I will never escape this room. And it just made me think of trauma. When you've experienced that type of trauma, that's with you for life. No matter what you do or how you do it, is with you. Granted, there are ways to cope with it. There are ways to, reduce the flashbacks or the intrusive thoughts or the triggers by recognizing them and creating a plan to really live your best life. But that trauma still sticks with you. This book, yeah, it really made me hate men. Like, I'm here with you on that. I was just like, and the fact that Boots kept saying he'll have you after I'm done with you. So consent is the fact that there was no consent and no one thought of her. No one thought of how she would feel. They made assumptions like, oh, even the white women when she first was working with that family, like, oh, why would you have this beautiful N-word here? Because she clearly wants your man. And it's like, she's not even checking for these white men. She's not checking for these white men at all. Her grandma was like, don't do it. Don't do it at all. And she's literally just trying to provide for herself and her son. It's just the audacity, the mandacity, really. I thought it was interesting too that she was more of a fighter than someone who just gave up. Yep. But that, to me, that just a testament of like Black women throughout the centuries of being like, I still got to do what I got to do. Like, I'm not going to just lay down and take this shit. And clearly, she didn't. All the male characters, were not it. They all were garbage, trash, basura, muzuk, smitya. I said in a couple different languages, but it needed to be said. It needed to be said. Just garbage human beings. So what did we rate the book? That's what I want to know. What did people rate the book? Like I said, 10 million stars over here. All the stars. And I'm also like, since I plan on doing this buddy read for a while, community buddy read, I'm like, should we add all the rest of her books? It's really how I'm feeling. Oh, yes. Yes, we have, I think in December or November, reading another book by Ann Petry. Hold on, let me get to it. Let me figure out. Let me see. It's like further, it's further down the year. We're reading The Narrows by Ann Petry in November. I'm like, what's happening? It's the sound of the carbonation. I wish we would have seen a men-Ludi interaction. Exactly. I thought about that too. I was like, when she caught the letters, is she going to go and be like, is she going to investigate more? That's when I thought she would be an ally. Is she going to investigate the letters and then be like, men, watch out? No, then I thought men would be like, Ludi, watch out. He's crazy. He's plotting on your son. But that didn't happen. I flipped between 4.5 and 5, but we'll land on the 5. That's really how I feel. Let's see, Ann Petry books. Let's see if there's more. Man, this on the web. Oh my God, this Siri, leave me alone. Wow, she died when I was 7 years old. Why could I not know her before? Um, let's see. Yeah, The Street is her most popular novel. Um, wow, she sold over 1 million copies of The Street when it first came out. So she has a book called Back in Old Saybrook, Country Place, The Narrows, and um, let's see. And then she has like some short stories and like children novels too. Um, she has Marie of the Cabin Club. It's a short story. The Drugstore Cat, which is a children's book. She has a historical novel for children called sorry, I just said that because this is a book I've been wanting to read, but I didn't realize it was Ann Petry. Tituba of Salem Village. I didn't know it was her. Um, yeah, so she has like it's not a large catalog, but it's a catalog. Okay, let me get back to the StreamYard. Okay, you guys, this book was great. And I think any final thoughts? I gave it a 4.25 on Storygraph just because I felt like sometimes Petry was telling instead of just showing, but maybe back then in the 40s people weren't. Yep. I mean, that's absolutely true. I mean, according to my grandma. Um talking about racism and sexism, so she felt like she had to spell everything out. Yep. And that's another thing. That was a question I had that I forgot to ask. I I just kept thinking about the intersectional identities where she would be like, "Hey, this white family taught me that, it's all about money." And then she would talk about, "But is it really because I'm black?" And then she would then when not then you kept seeing kind of that back and forth throughout the book. Then towards the end of the book, when her son went to like the children detention thing, um, and she walked in the room and she was like, "Oh, I only see colored boys here." And then she went to the waiting room to wait to see her son, and it was like all different types of women there and different skin colors. And then she was like, "Well, is it poor?" So it's like I just kept seeing the intersectional identities of like being a person who is in poverty, being a person who is black, being a person who's a woman, like just how all of those things can really add up to the amount of adversity a person can feel. So I just kept thinking of just when you have multiple identities that are marginalized, situations like the street is so commonplace in the sense of there are so many people who have had these similar live experiences when they have similar intersecting identities. Not saying everyone who has those intersecting identities will have similar experiences to the streets, but in my personal life, I have seen it more often than not. And I hope that made sense of what I just said. If one identity isn't hurting you, another one will at any given time. Colby, the way you write stuff, just so elegant. It's just so great. So great. Yep. So I'm going to have to write a review and put it on Storygraph. Y'all, the struggle is real. I was doing so well with reading, and then life happened, and then this exam. So this is the only book I've read. I started reading what is it called? I started reading another thriller called, hold on. Start reading it today because I was like, oh, well, let's not stop there. Let's keep going. That's what I told myself. I was like, keep going. It's called, hold up, The Jigsaw Man. It's just so many things. And I think each time you read it, if you reread it, which I plan on doing, you still will catch other aspects of the world that is just like, this book also had me thinking about capitalism and how it just gives people no chance. Yeah. No chance at all. And it just was like, I also didn't like how the pimp woman, I keep forgetting her name, the pimp woman would just assume that if a woman didn't have money and didn't have income and was poor, that the only thing she had to sell or the only thing she was good for was sleeping with men for money. Like that was the only option. Like there was nothing else in the world to do but sleep with men for money and be exploited. And I like at those two things. And I was just like, what? Like, yes, being a sex worker is a job, but there are other jobs. Like there are so many other options for the women in this book. But this woman was like, nope, I'm just going to pigeonhole you in this job, and this is all you're good for, and that's it. Just crazy. Miss Hedges, yes. Come with the Wikipedia. So I just kept like thinking of that. Like, you, like, just, and then when, I forget what character was looking in her eyes and was like, there was no empathy there, essentially. They were like, there was no empathy there. And I just kept thinking, like, wow, she really has like this pimp mentality. Like, that's scary. If she had her head out the window all the time, you would think she would have figured out Bub was up to. That's what I thought. I was like, this lady didn't see this. She's so busy in recruiting, like so heavy on recruiting women to work for her that you're not seeing this. You in everybody else's business about everything, and you didn't see what this what the super was doing. I felt a bit of sympathy for Miss Hedges because of the fire, but she was ruthless. She was so ruthless. I was like, man, this lady, that's why I kept saying, like, every character in the book, apart from Bub, was preying on Ludi, preying on her. I just felt like they all were like, you know, just big cats in the jungle, and Ludi was out here, gazelle, just trying to eat, and they were just like, attack. It was not, it just was, ugh. I don't know. I was at a loss for words a lot of times. Sometimes I would just be like, what? Also, I don't know if any of y'all read the book physically or listened to the book, read via audiobook. I read via audiobook, and I really liked the audiobook. My biggest critique about the audiobook was the sounds. Like at certain parts, it would be like in the car, skirt, and then the car, and then you'll hear the sound, skirt. Or it just was like the sound effects was very jarring for me, and like I was like jumping. I think because I was like nervous at a bunch of parts too, and like scared. So I was like, and then at the end, where she was saying like all she could say, I like was trying to focus intently because the sound at the end of the audiobook was so loud for like the last couple minutes, and I was just like just stopped everything and was like closing my eyes and trying to really hear the last couple sentences of the book. Also, it was nice that she stopped the assault. Yep. One of the good things is that Petry gave the female characters complexity. True that. Oh yeah, those sounds. The dog getting kicked, I know. And the train at the end was so okay, it was the train at the end that was so loud. This book broke me the way only Toni Morrison could. Yes, until now. Yes. Yes. Oh, I can't unsee it now. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh man. Yep. Toni Morrison breaks me every time. I'd be like, oh, like I just be thinking I'm gonna come into this book and be like, okay, I'm not gonna be broken. It's gonna be fine. And then I read Toni Morrison, and I'm just like, okay, cool. Like I just be like, dang, And I feel there's a couple authors I feel that way for: Toni Morrison and Octavia E. Butler, and Ann Petry. I would say just break. James Baldwin too. James Baldwin too. Just break me. I'd be like, dang, I didn't even have a chance at all. I mean, Tananarive is also kind of doing that for me as well, but yeah, these authors trying to take me out. Any final thoughts? We have a couple more minutes. Now that I'm on the Petry hype train, I want more people to read her, recognize this is a classic. Exactly. Exactly. I was reading on Wikipedia that the rest of her books didn't get as much attention as The Street. Um, I'm wondering if it was like, how there is debate about like black trauma porn, and this was a lot of trauma, a lot of black trauma in this book. Uh, I'm wondering if that was one of the reasons at the time. Like people just like now, people give books that have or center black trauma lots of accolades. So I'm wondering if that was one of the reasons as to why the book sold so well. I just got off work. Sorry I missed the beginning. It's totally okay. We're about to head out soon. I felt like Petry was ahead of her time. Light years ahead of her time. I love Tananarive writing. I enjoy hearing y'all talk about the book. Yes. Agreed. Now that we've talked about it for a long time, I just want to thank y'all for reading it with me. I didn't know if anyone was going to show up to the live or read it with me. And I was actually afraid that I was going to have to reschedule it because I've been like test, really focused. And I'll like try to read something every once in a while, but I have like test anxiety, and like reading anything other than the test is a struggle, which is why I chose today to like clean and do and run errands and everything and listen to the book, because that was the only way my anxiety was going to let me do it. So thank you so much for reading this book with me and talking about it with me. I started reading it yesterday, but I really love this buddy read. And don't forget that next month we will be reading A Raisin in the Sun by Lorraine Hansberry. And for those of y'all who is not in the Discord, I'm just gonna put the link here in the chat. So give me a second. Just gonna put the link here in the chat so you can join in It was definitely creepy. It was what I needed. I haven't finished the book, had plans to do that today, but got called into work. Did anyone else? Yep, same. Lots of creepy vibes. Lots of creepy vibes. Vibes from the dudes, yes. The scene in the beginning when she's torturing the apartment had me so afraid for her. The writing had me. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. This was a really great choice. Thank you for doing it. Anytime. I think that, it's a testament to the lack of access in our educational system here in the US that I just recently found through classics. I thought classics equaled whiteness, meaning only old white men could write classics or have their books classified as classics. So now that I recently, in the last a year or two, found out that Black classics exist, I'm like, I can't be the only one not knowing. So I wanted to do it in a community style. And don't forget to get on the Discord and talk about the books and the different channels that I have on the Discord that I organize. Also, my biggest regret while reading The Street is that I didn't have the physical copy. There were so many like pure gold quotes that I wanted to highlight that I didn't even get a chance to do. So moving forward, I'm going on thrift books and try to get A Raisin in the Sun because I can't have this happen again. I can't have this happen again. So I gotta be better. I'm definitely up to reading more from her. Yes. We're reading another book called dang, I gotta go look it up again because I keep forgetting. We're reading another book of hers in November called The Narrows. So we'll be reading another book of hers called The Narrows. So I'm really excited. And I mean, I want to try to do this monthly, like as a always thing on my channel. So after we hit January, I don't see there's nothing wrong with adding another Ann Petry. I'm down for it. So if y'all are down for it. But anyway, thank you so much for coming to my channel, hanging out. Where we talked about Ann Petry, The Street. I was about to say The Narrows, The Street, and I had a really good time conversing with y'all. And we'll talk soon. Bye. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm.